All right, I think we're live. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. We got a sweet guest here. This happens to be my mentor, Brad Jensen. He just lives down the road from me. I grew up knowing Brad. I've known him for quite a while. Brad's got some cool background stories and been doing bees for a while. He keeps me going in the bees. I wonder if I keep him going too a little bit, but we kind of thrive off of each other. He's kind of like one of those business partners that's kind of behind the scenes. I use his stuff, he uses my stuff. We buy stuff and then we split the cost, and then it's pretty good. But let's see, we
Welcome,
got
welcome, Brad.
What's that?
yeah,
Good to have you.
Oh, it's good to be here.
yeah, Brad. Why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about your whatever you want to tell us. Tell us a little bit about bees. Tell us about
I will start with bees. I I really didn't document when I got started keeping bees myself, but at least 10 years. Keeping them in my backyard. I started out with two because I always recommend you buy two, right? Isn't that what we do? Is we tell people to at least buy two. And I killed them. I don't know if I killed them right away, but they died. And so I got, the word is be tenacious. So I I bought some more packages. Ended up with four. You lose one, and then you split some, and then it's beekeeping. What Bracken always says, it's just beekeeping, and you learn and you grow. So I did that, and progressive increase in my knowledge and experience. Got used to being stung. Uh, uh, my wife really got used to having honey and beeswax. She uses the beeswax, uh, so it was a kind of a team thing. I did the bees, and she used all the stuff. But then I found out how expensive beekeeping was,
Yeah.
and I thought, what in the world am I doing? Getting more and more colonies, and so I scaled up. I have a side business set up, and so I scaled up so that I could use some tax advantage and hopefully make it pay for itself. Um, that just what it really means is I just spend more money, but there's some tax advantage to that. So that was my. Uh, Let me back up just a little bit. My grandfather, uh, my mother's dad, kept bees, and he was always trying to get me interested. So we had an orchard where I grew up, and he went down. He would bring colonies down, and he'd always have me go help him. Now, he didn't use a veil, he didn't use gloves, he didn't use anything, and so I didn't either. I was terrified of getting stung. But he must have had some really good bees because I never got stung. I was the guy with the smoker. I'd hold the smoker in my hand, and he'd tell me, "Oh, I need some smoke," and it was I was he was actually getting me hooked on bees. I just didn't know it. So once the opportunity presented itself, and I got back into it, and here I am now. I run this year. I've got 34, 35 colonies in four different yards that are all fairly local. One of them's one of Bracken's yards. I got some colonies down there, so I enjoy immensely. I enjoy going out there and doing it, even when it's hot and miserable. It's better than working at my job. So um, I I love them. Bracken, having Bracken here gives me an outlet because I'll go down there and do something at his house. We'll pick something up, and then we spend as much time as we can in the driveway talking. So that's how it works. So always trying to expand and improve, do something a little bit better, a little bit different every year, buy some different equipment. So that's my beekeeping world. Basically, I just love it, and watch videos as much as I can, and try to get experience.
Now,
Get exposed.
outside of, I got a question. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting.
That's right. No, that's fine.
Outside of Bracken here, who's your favorite beekeeping YouTuber? Who do you watch? Who do you watch the most?
Wow. Well, I do like Bob Binney. He's the godfather.
Yeah.
But Duck River Honey, I really like him. Nathan Coleman. And I still remember watching the video of him saying that he got laid off. And he said, I'd really like to make a go at beekeeping. So I am just amazed at how he handles the business part of he analyzes the business part of it. So things are done for a specific purpose. And I like that. So
yeah, he's pretty good. Where's he from? He's from like Tennessee or something like that.
Yeah, he's back in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Different world compared to beekeeping world compared to us, right?
Yeah. Who was so you say that you got into beekeeping about 10 years ago, but your grandpa did it. When you started beekeeping, did you have a mentor? Like, who helped you out?
Well, there's somebody that Bracken knows. He's another neighbor up the road. He had bees. He's kind of elderly, struggled taking care of his bees. I was, like I told you when I started out, like everybody does, they struggle with their bees, keeping them alive and keeping them healthy. And finally, I just said, I'm going to assign him as my mentor, right? And I didn't tell him, that he's my mentor, but what I said was, or what I told myself is that I'm going to ask him questions about certain things. And every time he does something, I'm going to do it. When he treats for mites, I'm going to treat. When he, feeds, I'm going to feed. When he stops feeding, I'm going to stop feeding. That sort of thing. And that's when things started helping. I would ask him some questions about some other related item or topics, but that's where I really started making progress. Is that he was my mentor. So I don't have one other than Bracken. We bounce things back and forth off each other. So
How did you and Bracken meet?
I moved into this house up here. It's on my wife's old family farm. We built a house, and he was he's just down the road. His dad, who is an electrician, works at where Bracken works now, but he's retired. But when I was building my house, he was always helping me with electrical stuff because I did a lot of the stuff myself. Got in way over my head with electrical. And in fact, if you go out to my garage, his name and phone number are written on the drywall on the garage. It's still there. So I just knew Bracken as this, neighbor kid. I'm not sure how old he was, but
What year did you move here?
2000, at the end of 2000.
So I was 10.
So
Did you have a beard back then, Bracken? Did he have a beard, Brad?
Yeah, it was just starting to come in.
So
Yeah,
anyway, that's how I met him and just watched him grow up. The Barkers are a wonderful family, a lot of fun to get to know. So we just kind of grew up together. And then all of a sudden he said, "You're my mentor." And it's like, cool.
Here we go. Hey,
Let's do
Bracken,
these.
you ought to pin some of these comments up here so we can highlight them. I know that this is off topic, but whatever. We're a little bit random anyway. Tiny Creek, that one. Someone should do a video on the tax side of beekeeping. Hard to be profitable in the first year. That's a good little discussion point right there. If you want to pin it.
I'm trying to. I can't keep up.
Oh, it's okay.
We need to figure out how to make it so everybody else can do it and watch them.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to.
I was the star of the show there for a minute. Did you guys see?
Yeah.
I don't know what button I pushed.
Yeah, you were front and center. I liked it.
Brad's talking, sitting here.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert, but I think it's important that you have a good accountant. I was nervous about all the expenses that I was incurring without a lot of income, especially at first. And the IRS seems to be a little bit more lenient with agricultural type activities. You do have to show some income, but it's not like running another type of business. They know you're going to have expenses. So, but really, get a CPA or someone that is pretty sharp on it, and they'll help you too. So, I have an accountant. She does my taxes, and I just keep track of information, labor, materials. I got files of stacks of receipts, income, keep track of the income, the honey, pollination fees, whatever income you have. Selling wax. Like I said, I can't sell a lot of wax because my wife uses it, but and she gives some away, and I keep telling her, it's like, what are you doing giving away my stuff? But
it's a hobby for her. It's not a business.
It's not. Yeah, she doesn't take me seriously.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, Tiny. Like, keep track of your expenses, keep track of your income, and give those to your accountant. I have an accountant because we need to for our life, but even if you're doing them yourself, just keep track of those things and send them on and let accountants do their thing.
It helps if you set up an LLC as well. Some people set up S corps, but set up an LLC so you separate at some point. I'm not saying do that right up front. If you already have an LLC, to separate yourself from your bee business, that helps.
Yeah. Bracken, why don't you throw up the Jason Egan comment again? We talked about this one a little bit last week, and it's a good question. Jason's in Utah, so this is relevant to all of us. I think about this every week when I get into my hives, Jason. So I wait till, I'm kind of like you, like I wait till Labor Day to take mine off and do the whole extraction. Glade, I know, does his in August, but I could do a load of harvesting right now. So, like, my question is, do I want to do it twice? Because it's a lot of work. If I take them out now, then I'm probably going to have another load to do on Labor Day, albeit smaller. Do I want to do it twice? So that's my debate. So I think I'm choosing to just do it once. That's me. What about you, Bracken or Glade? You guys have any thoughts on that one?
I just wait till Labor Day because Brad over there told me that's when he does it, so that's when I do it. But we discussed this. Was it Brad? Did we talk about this just a couple days ago? We did, didn't we?
Yes. We had a conversation about going early.
Yeah,
you talked to our local bee inspector, right?
Yeah, I talked to a commercial beekeeper that lives just right here, also down the road. He doesn't do any videos or anything, but he is a full-time beekeeper, and he starts in August and doesn't finish until like the middle of September. So he's got quite a few hives. But I asked him the pros and cons of harvesting now versus later, because I'm kind of, why wait till Labor Day was my question, but why do it early? And he says, you do run a risk of, if you do it early, because Utah does have a little bit of fall flow once in a while. And if you pull your supers or whatever his biggest worry was starvation right now. He says just let them eat what they've got, let them use what they're going to use. Don't pull it yet. When you do pull it in September, then you pump them full of feed. But if you pull the supers now in our area, you're going to have to feed them. But then if we get a fall flow, you're going to have to, now you're mixing sugar syrup and honey, and you're not getting, you're kind of diluting your honey. So he says it's kind of a personal preference. He says if you can, kind of wait, just wait. If not, harvest it. So I think it's kind of, I don't think there's a set answer.
Yeah, I think the good news, Jason, just really fast. The good news, Jason, this is a sarcastic comment, is we probably won't get a fall flow because it's never going to rain in Utah again. So don't worry about that. Just kidding.
What do you think, Glade?
I usually pull mine about middle of August. I like to get mine off. Our winter hits a little bit sooner than the Wasatch Front than you guys do. So my window for treating and making sure they're fed and up to weight and everything is a little bit smaller than yours. We're about 3 weeks sooner than you are getting down to that point where they're starting to cluster every night. And so I like to get mine off a little sooner and get my treatments done. And if I need to feed, then I'll feed. I always leave. You can see my hives behind me. There's like this one over my shoulder. This blue box is a honey super that'll get pulled, but the 3 yellow ones will stay, and the top yellow one is already full of honey. And the second one from the bottom is filling but not full. So if we get a fall flow, they'll fill up that second box, which is perfect. I like it. And then I don't have to feed quite as much in winter. But a fall flow is it's Russian roulette around here. I mean, anything could happen. Some years it's pretty good, and some years it's not. And yeah, it depends on rain. And we haven't seen any rain. I did run into a rainstorm yesterday. I drove from Roosevelt to Vernal about 2:00 in the afternoon, and just outside of the other side of Roosevelt here, I was out of town about 10 miles, and it opened up and just poured and poured for about a half a mile of turn the windshield wipers on full blast and slow down to about 40 miles an hour because you couldn't see a thing. And you went about a half a mile and you were out of it. Done. Gone. So that one little spot in the basin got some rain. Nobody else got it.
It was the only place it rained in Utah.
Yeah.
When in our discussion with Bracken, I had that discussion. The reason I picked Labor Day is because I'd get an extra day because I'm still working full time, so it's more of a convenience. And the temperature starts to drop even around here. I mean, Glade's ahead of us, but the nighttime temperatures start dropping a little bit, makes it a little harder to extract because the
exactly. That's part of the other reason.
So it just makes it harder to spin that honey out. So
I actually put a heater, believe it or not, in August. I put a heater in my shed so that I can keep that temperature up to about 85 degrees. And I know that sounds crazy in August to turn on a heater, but honey extracts so much better at 85 degrees than it does at 75 degrees.
Yeah, we've said this before, but we just don't get that our honey here is so thick because it's so dry, and so I'm the same way at Labor Day. I typically have a heater on to keep it going.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like Bruce's honey down there in Alabama. Nothing. His just poured out of the hive. I mean, just poured out of the combs. You touched a comb and it just ran out. And I'm like, this is strange. Is
Yeah,
there,
I would
this is
roll.
all water.
Yeah, I would roll those little spike rollers over the cappings, and literally honey would splash on me. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, that doesn't happen with Utah honey.
Let's see. There was a question, Glade, about your honey from Jason. How do you make the what was it? Whipped honey? Yeah, creamed honey.
Creamed honey and whipped honey are different. Creamed honey doesn't have any air in it. Whipped honey, it's put in a mixer and you've whipped air into it, and it's good. Throw some, whip some butter and drizzle some honey in there, and you've got honey butter, and it's great. Nothing wrong with it, but true creamed honey does not have air in it. It's just a matter of controlling the crystallization of the honey so that, as honey naturally crystallizes, you get these big, chunky, gritty, coarse crystals that nobody likes. If you eat it, you feel like you're eating rocks. But if you control the process, you can come out with small, smooth crystals. And the easiest way to do this is to go buy a tub of somebody else's creamed honey, somebody else's that you like. And I'll usually take about the typical ratio is like 1 part creamed honey and 9 parts runny honey. I'll usually take about a 5-gallon bucket that's got about 50 pounds of honey, and I'll add about 5 pounds of creamed honey to it. Just stir it up. If you can stir it every hour for about 10 minutes, and you can do that for about 3 days straight, you'll come out with some really nice creamed honey. Most people don't do that. They'll stir it a little bit, stir it in, and honestly, you can just about set it on the shelf and let it sit. And if you can put it somewhere a little bit cool, somewhere in that 55, 60 degree range, in about 2 weeks, that whole jar will cream right out to creamed honey. And it comes out quite nice. I'll make creamed honey. Sometimes my honey's a little bit too darker than I like. I like to use the light spring honey, just color appearance wise. I like the looks of that. When it creams, it comes out a nice creamy yellow color. Not if I use the dark color, it comes out a little more butterscotch color. I don't care for the appearance of it. Tastes great. Doesn't affect the taste or the quality. It's just an appearance thing. And I'm picky that way. I like that lighter creamed honey. I don't even know if I've got any creamed honey sitting here.
Have you made a video about that, Glade?
Haven't done that yet, I don't think.
That'd be a good one. I'd follow those instructions. That sounds. I haven't done that.
It's really not hard. I mean, if you go to the store and you buy a little tub of creamed honey and get like a 2-pound jar and get a good heaping tablespoon and just mix it in and set that jar back on the shelf for a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, that whole jar will be creamed.
It's crazy. Wonder how that works.
It's crystals. It's the size of the crystals. You can actually take that granular honey and basically just grind up the crystals and make them really small. That's what you're after, is the seed crystals are small. Yeah. I have not done that a lot. I was going to do that. I have been going to do that, but I'm listening to Glade here and I'm thinking maybe I'll try it. So
you're introducing a seed to it. That creamed honey acts as a seed, and the rest of the sugar crystals will form similar size crystals, and the whole jar will cream all by itself. The really nice creamed honey, you about have to have a creamer to do that, a creaming machine, and those will usually You dump your runny honey. Well, I call it runny honey. Your liquid honey in. Add your seed, and the machine will turn on for like 15 minutes every hour and very slowly stir the honey. And as it stirs, it's breaking up those sugar crystals and keeping them small and smooth instead of big and gritty. And if you let that run for about 3 days, you come out with some really nice creamed honey. I haven't been able to afford a creamer yet, so I use a food drill. It looks like a paint stirrer and a cordless drill, and I'll put it in my bucket and stir it 3 or 4 times a day, as many times as I can get to it. And I'll do that over the course of 3 or 4 days, and then I'll bottle it all up. If you wait too long, that it sets in the bucket and then you can't get it out. That doesn't work very well, but you could do that for 3 or 4 days, and then I'll bottle it all up and let it set for a couple of weeks, and then it's ready to go.
It's interesting on here. Jason's comment is that he makes candy. It'd be interesting to know kind of the chemistry behind that, how that works. Do you, Gigi had a question there too, Glade, or any of you guys, do you know if there's a demand for creamed honey? Like what the demand looks like if you tried to sell it?
I can tell you, if you go to the farmer's market and you give them a taste of liquid honey, and I can take the exact same liquid honey and cream it, and I can give them a taste of creamed honey, they'll buy creamed honey every time. And they'll swear it tastes better. They'll swear it tastes different. But honestly, if you take that same creamed honey, warmed it back up nice and slow, you'd melt all the crystals right back out, and you'd be right back to liquid honey.
It must be the texture that people like.
It is a texture. It's kind of it's not quite peanut butter, but almost. Really, Nancy?
Well, that makes sense that people aren't asking for it. But if you had both and have them taste both, maybe you'd find that
they don't
prefer the cream.
I don't know about other places, but here in Utah, at least in my area, people aren't really familiar with creamed honey. And when I make it and let them taste it, they'll buy it every time.
Interesting.
Brad.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us a little bit about. Well, we talked about your bees a little bit, but tell us what you did. Tell us what your job was, and tell us a little bit more about you. I want people to kind of hear your story a little bit of being in the Army.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but at the same time,
No, that's all right. But this is my channel, and I want you to talk about it. So,
I was going to. I graduated doing work at the University of Utah. I was doing engineering, struggling to get through, working 2 jobs. The Army offered me some money, so.
And a T-shirt? Did you get a T-shirt?
So I'm I was part of the Ute Battalion in the University of Utah. Graduated from there, got commissioned, came out of there as a 2nd lieutenant. Still wasn't done with school, trying to get done. So I was in the National Guard for a year or so. And then graduated, went on active duty. I didn't have to look for a job. The Army had one ready for me because they'd given me some money. I actually went to engineer school. I was a combat engineer. Army engineers are different than the civilian engineers. So we learned how to blow things up, chop down trees with explosives, make big holes in the ground. My first, so I was part of the 1st Infantry Division, my first assignment, the big red one, if anybody is familiar with that. I was 1st Engineer Battalion. I followed tanks around and infantry armored vehicles. Did whatever they needed me to do. I've been to a lot of different places in the United States. I've been overseas to. Oh, cool. Always nice to have another combat engineer because you know exactly what I'm talking about. But been overseas, Germany. Um, went over to the Middle East. Was over there for Desert Storm. And out in the middle of the desert. I've been to Texas and North Dakota and California and all those things in the United States. Got out of the Army. They were downsizing at that time. They were really, so I was nervous about spending, they were letting people go. And so I got out and used my engineering degree and got a job. So I still miss that. I miss the camaraderie. I don't miss the DC probably knows what I'm talking about. It's just Bracken, to anybody that's a veteran. It's hard to be in garrison. It's hard to be around the battalion. It's, there's so much baloney. You're picking up cigarette butts and, painting rocks and things. But out in the field, it was wonderful.
Did you ever have to flip rocks over so they didn't get sunburned?
I didn't have to do that because I was the LT, right?
Oh yeah, you were making people do that.
I didn't make them do that. That's sergeant business. I don't get into sergeant business. So I go to meetings. That's what I do. And I tell them what to do. So try to shield them from silliness. So anyway, that's my military experience.
Have the bees helped you, like, with I again, this could be, you can answer if you want, and we're being a little bit, but have the bees helped you in any way with any of your Army experience? Does that make sense?
Yes, what Bracken's talking about. Bracken knows this about me, but I have post-traumatic stress syndrome from being over in the Middle East and some of the stuff that I was involved with over there. And bees are very, very therapeutic. I didn't know that, but since finding out about, they say that it's the sound. It's the buzzing is a certain key, and it's very therapeutic for people that have PTSD. And I just like being around them. So, and when you're in a beehive, and you all know this, when you're in a beehive, you are focused. That is 100%. You're focused on this and that and this thing, and you're doing this with this hive, and that has helped me immensely. So when things are getting a little, I still get anxious about things. I'm a pretty calm guy, but I still get anxious about when certain things happen. And to me, the bees, I got 9 colonies here at home, and I go out there and get stung and look at how the honey's coming, and there's always something to do. So that helps me a lot. So.
Do you like to beekeep by yourself? Does that help you, or do you like to be out with others?
I like being out with others, sometimes by myself, but when I'm actually working the colonies, it's sure nice to have help. And when I'm down at Bracken's yard, where I've got some colonies, and he's down there, it sure is nice for him to pick up a deep super that's got honey in it, and he runs across the truck and runs across back, and it would take me 2 days to do what he did. So it's nice to have somebody there for that reason. I have a granddaughter that helps me. I've hired her just part-time, not full-time. But so from a practical standpoint, it's nice to have someone while you work in the colonies, somebody can go get boxes and do different things. I've got to the point now where I just point to my granddaughter and say, "You start over here, and I'll start over here, and this is what we're doing today." She's getting pretty good at doing that. So, and it's nice to bounce things off other people. So, I like both. So,
Well, we sure appreciate your service, both you and Bracken, and thanks for sharing that experience with us. As you look back on, I don't know, I just have questions that come up. You don't have to talk about them, obviously, but as you think back on the different places that you were located in your service, is there a place that you think about more fondly and miss, or was kind of a favorite, and then maybe the opposite, that was a least favorite?
wow, it's hard to come up with a most favorite.
Yeah, it's probably the wrong way to say that, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to respond to that. I loved Europe. It was beautiful, but I have never been as cold. I'm a skier. I used to ski, and I've been cold. But in Germany, in October, when it's really drizzly rain, humid, I have never been that cold before. So it was beautiful, but you got to wear, you got to do certain things to stay warm over there. Least favorite is probably the Middle East. I never did adjust to that. I wasn't there for years, but it was hot and dusty, and the dust gets in your food. It's in everything. It's just not a great. I grew up in the desert, but that's different. Going out to the basin with Glade. I mean, that's a paradise compared to some of those places over there. So
whenever I see like videos or pictures of the civilizations out there, I think, how in the world do people live out there? I mean, how do they get there? I mean, they obviously do, but it's amazing.
I didn't get to know the culture very much, but I wondered the same thing. We did run across some Bedouin tribes out in the middle of nowhere. I'm sure they were happy to have us pass through. And I just remember going across the desert one time, and I grew up around farms, and I used to be a dairy herdsman, and all of a sudden I got the smell of animals, and I thought, what's that? Well, it was a herd of camels. We just hadn't seen it yet. I smelled them long before but they were out there in the desert doing their camel thing.
That's kind of cool.
I think now's a good time for this. This is going to be the little giveaway for this evening's chat. We got about a little over 20 minutes here. So if you're on, Jed's going to start making a list here. Just do hashtag hat, and then I'll put my information in, or if anybody has Jed's, we can figure out and get the address to get it to me, and I can get it shipped off to you.
Yeah, throw that in. Yeah. Hashtag hat. Throw those in if you want that, and Bracken will get it sent to you.
Yep.
Danae, I haven't sent yours. Jack and Danae won last week, and I haven't sent it yet, but it's packaged up. We'll get that out to you. Hive Tool. Jack and Danae won last week.
Sweet. So what are you, Brad, tell us a little bit about your, Brad grafted for the first time this week, right? Was it this week?
Yeah. I have all the equipment, probably 3 years ago, I got all the equipment, and I was committed to doing it. And I just, it's just, I put it off, and I have a hard time with doing something poorly. And I knew the first time I did it, I was not going to do great. So it was a little bit resistant to it. Finally, I just said, no, I'm going to do it. So I grafted last Saturday. I got like a 30% take, which is horrible, but see.
Not for your first time.
No, but I'm going right to that,
Yep.
It's horrible. But
Brad, you and I think, are too much alike here.
yeah,
I've said that. I told you that the other day. I says, I think you two would be good
yeah.
old buddies. Getting to
And
know
that,
you, Glade, a little
so you
bit.
know what I'm talking about, Glade. You don't want to do things poorly, but I got 5 out of the ones, 5 queens coming. Well, I use the cloak board method. Uh, Matt Walker from Walk in the Woods apiary out in Florida, he shows an abbreviated, modified, streamlined cloak board method. That's the one I used. So if you want to get on his channel, and he talks about how he raises queens, and so it worked. It's on one of my production colonies. There are a lot of bees in there, so I didn't create a cell builder. I just let them do it because there's so many. And one of the disadvantages when you have to get to it, you got to take off your honey supers. So I don't know. I just thought I'd try that. So
Well, I've been grafting for a couple of years now and love doing it, but even then, the second round of grafts that I did this year was a complete failure. Not one out of 30, but I kind of redeemed myself. I grafted again. I got about 25 out of 30. So, but it happens.
yeah, see, if I had one of those, it would devastate me. I just need to relax. My wife tells me that all the time. Just stop. Just learn what you need to learn and move ahead. So, no, I'm excited about that. It sure is nice to have. Sure is nice to have queens available. I buy Brackens. He used to just give them to me. So I didn't think that was fair. So so I started buying them, and they've been great. His queens are great. So if anybody wants queens, Bracken's queens are wonderful. So, but it sure is nice to have some available to you for requeening. For the more colonies you get, the more you're going to have that happen. Queens are failing. This year I got a lot of drone laying queens. They started out good, and then they turned out to be not so good. So it sure is nice to be able to pinch a queen and then put in a mated queen, and you don't miss. It's not a month later you're looking for eggs. So,
Brad, you said you had quite a few drone laying queens this year. So did I.
I've read that somewhere else too, where they had, and these are purchased queens.
Oh, and well, mine were self-raised, but
okay, that's interesting. I've
Somebody
never had that many,
in my
and
chats.
I was starting to think that it was me. So I'm glad you said that.
Well, I just figured it was me.
Yeah, see, same.
But
I think what do they do different?
The climate has something to do with it.
I don't know. I'm thinking mine just didn't get mated well for whatever reason, and I have a commercial beekeeper around me, and they've got hives all over the place. I know where they're at. Drones really shouldn't be an issue because I always raise my queens later in the summer, not early spring. So there's always plenty of drones available. So I didn't think that'd ever be an issue, but something happened this last year because I came out of winter with several hives that were drone layers, and they started off okay first thing in the spring, and then about April, all of a sudden I'm seeing drone layers. I'm like, what's going on?
Yep. That's
Glade, have you ever hatched your queens in like a roll pin cage, or do you always take the cell out and put them in mating nukes?
I take the cell out and either just drop the cell right into the hive that I'm requeening, or I'll drop it into a nuke. I'll make up a new nuke and drop the cell into it.
You haven't hatched them into a cage.
Nope.
Have you ever? Is there a reason why you haven't, or just because?
But then if you hatch them into a cage, then you've still got to introduce them into the hive some way, and there's going to be a period there where she's stuck in that cage, and in my mind, it just makes more sense to drop the queen cell in the hive, and I put a cell protector around the queen cell because they sometimes will, tear it down before she emerges. But if you do the timing right, you've got about a day, maybe 2 days before she emerges from that cell, and typically by that time, see, I've already removed the old queen, put the queen cell in, and by that time they realize they're queenless, and all of a sudden now a virgin queen comes emerging out of a cell. They're pretty accepting of her, and if she goes out on her mating flight and successfully comes back, then they accept her right off the bat. They don't have any problem with her, and they'll
So basically, better acceptance rate is kind of
I
what you're
think
saying.
so. I don't have
I
anything to
was just
prove
curious
that, but
because I'm gonna do another round of queens here just for practice and funsies, and I was thinking this time maybe I would use those easy peasy just because I haven't done it, and it's one of those, you know what I mean. Maybe I'll put some roller cages on some, and then I don't know.
I actually have some roller cages. I've never used them.
Really, that's kind
Just
of how I am, and I want to use them just because I bought them, so I gotta use them. I talked to Oki, that queen breeder in California, and I asked him basically that same question, and he told me, he says, I always recommend to have them hatch into nucleuses. Just like if you add a virgin queen, it has to be within 48 hours. It lowers the acceptance rate, but the bees might take her if they are desperate enough. So yeah, he likes to drop the cells in too. I had asked him if he'd ever done. I know there's people that do that though. They hatch them into a mating box or something, or a incubator box, and then they go put them out. I just wondered what are the advantages and disadvantages to that. But
I think I don't know. I just think it makes more sense to drop that cell right in the hive. And sometimes as I requeen some of my production hives out here, I can't find the queen. There's too many bees in there, and I can't find her. And I can't spend 30 minutes looking for a queen. And so sometimes I'll just drop the queen cell in there. I'll go through the hive once, and if I can't find her, I'll just drop the queen cell in, close the lid, and walk away. And more often than not, that new queen I'll come back in about 2 weeks. That new queen's taken over, and she's laying, and the old queen is gone.
Brad, why don't you answer that one real quick? I want to hear your thoughts. I know you have a good answer for this one.
Requeening in spring or late summer. I've never tried late summer. I usually, when I go late summer, it's because I need to. In fact, I've just done some requeening, got some colonies that just are not performing, so I'm giving them. So I don't know that we're in late summer yet, but these are mated queens, though. I usually requeen in the spring when I do that. I don't know that I have really strong reasons why.
What's that summer solstice thing you told me about the one time?
Right. Who was it? Gosh, it was a book. Can't remember his name. He's got an interesting name, but he talks about how a queen that is emerges after the summer solstice will lay longer into the fall.
Is that Mel Disicon?
Yes. Yeah, that's him.
Yep.
And
Read the
I
same
haven't
book.
noticed that, but I haven't really tested it. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Well, she would have laid longer if she was, so I really haven't seen any strong evidence one way or the other. But I've heard about that. I read about it because I bought his book, where he goes through the on the spot queen method, and he talks about he requeens every colony every year. In fact, I think it's twice, isn't it, Bracken? Didn't you read the book too?
If you
It's
kind
I
of
mean it's
follow,
great.
yeah, if you kind of follow his plan, he's almost requeening. Well, he's splitting, so
Yeah, it's
but
he. Yeah, his
at
his
least
queen
every year, yeah.
his queens don't live very long in his apiary, but and he's successful. So
I shoot to requeen at least to have that queen mating after the summer solstice, after about
Mating.
June 20th. Um, and I used to do the OTS queen rearing method. That's how I used to requeen all my colonies.
right,
And it works. I did it for a number of years there. And then when I started grafting queens, um, I knew when the commercial beekeeper in my area, when he was bringing his hives back, and I know what my weather's like in May, which is completely unpredictable in my area. You never know. We could have snow, we could have sun, who knows? And I just felt like it was so unpredictable that I moved my queen rearing into June, and just kind of by default, I was almost always after the summer solstice. And I would agree that queens raised after the summer solstice seem to lay up brood a little later into the fall, later even into October, and maybe even small patches into November if it's not too cold. And I get bigger clusters going into winter. I get bigger clusters of those winter bees, and for me, that's kind of what I'm looking for winter. Is I want plenty of winter bees. Those bees raised, late September, October. Those are your winter bees. At least for me, those are my winter bees,
yeah,
and
it's pretty much the same here.
I want as many of those as I can get. And so if I can get that queen to lay just, one more round of brood, and I think it helps.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Glade, because I really didn't see a noticeable difference. So that's good to know.
Is it every hive, every year, every time? No, but
No.
I've got some Italian genetics and I've got some Carnelan genetics, and they've been mixed and matched. And the commercial beekeeper, he runs obviously mostly Italian, but he does have some, I don't know whether it's Carnelan or Caucasian genetics in there. If you look at his bees, they're not as yellow as a pure Italian would be. And so I'll have hives that will shut down brood rearing really early. And you think, okay, these gals are not going to make it. And that's that Carnelan genetics coming out. And they'll go through winter with just, a volleyball size cluster, and they'll come out with more like a grapefruit cluster, and you think, okay, they're dead, they're gone. And come end of May, they've filled the boxes. You can't tell. You can't tell them from the Italians who kept the boxes full all winter long and ate everything in sight. And those Carneolans will just you get in the box and you wonder what they ate. You wonder how they survived. You wonder, are they going to make it come spring? And when they kick off and go, man, they go. So I would like I'd like a breed that was a little bit of a mix of those two. A little bit bigger cluster, but somebody that doesn't each out a house and home all winter long. And does it mess with the honey production doing it in the spring? Generally, if you get that queen in there in the spring, first thing in the spring, and she's a good queen, she'll take off. For us, if you're requeening about the 1st of May, by the end of May and she's up and laying, you're going to be right into honey production season, and you'll be just fine.
I agree with that, Glade.
So I don't mind bringing in queens in the spring, and I do occasionally will buy some queens if I'm looking for some queens, because sometimes I'll have hives coming out of winter and they're just busting at the seams, and I'm like, I need I need some queens. I could split, I could make 15 splits here because I've got so many bees, and I don't want them to peak too soon. If they peak too soon, then they want to swarm, and so I'll split them back down, and I'll just buy some queens from somebody that I don't know that's got some good queens. And
hey, Bracken, Gigi up in the chat had a really good question. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. I know we don't have a lot of time, but if we can do it quickly.
We can go over.
It was, one of my hives is acting strangely. They're coming out and falling on the ground and walking away from the hive. They're staying on the ground, not flying. Any ideas? I think that's a good question. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that one. I guess go ahead.
I've never really had that, but I understand that those can be viruses that do that. I don't know, Glade, do you have any experience in that? Have you had that?
My first thought is you've probably got some disease going on, especially if they're kind of wandering around on the ground and they're not able to fly. Then I would say you've probably got something going on.
It's like a nervous system thing, a bee nervous system thing.
There's the Israeli acute paralysis virus. There's a couple of viruses that exhibit some strange behavior with the bees.
Right. So,
as long as if they're in clusters, though, now my brain goes to: are they trying to swarm? Do they have a virgin queen in that cluster? I'd be teasing that cluster apart a little bit to see if there's a virgin queen running around in there.
I would just, get mites is always the number one culprit. I've lost hives to viruses, and of course the deformed wing, but this sounds like a mite issue.
I wonder if it could be pesticide too. I don't know if
that could be.
If somebody around your neighborhood is sprayed and they've got some sort of pesticide on the foragers and they've brought it back, and it's kind of affecting them.
Yeah. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
If it's not too significant, like if it and continuous, I think it might be that. The other thought that I've seen a little bit is, they got to die at some point from old age, and they're going to leave the hive. I've noticed the old bees don't stay in there; they leave.
Well, that's their natural instinct, is to leave the hive. But I don't. In early spring, I'll see, lots of dead bees out in front of the hive just because it's too cold for them to fly very far. But during the summer, I don't have any dead bees out in front of my hive, but I have bees dying every day, just natural attrition. So maybe.
I don't see them gather. I'm with you, like in the spring, but like in the summer, I don't see them gathering up there. But I I don't know. I just wonder. Like, I don't know for sure. I just wonder if they come out of the hive and walk off. They can't fly. They're too old. They're beat up. They kind of work themselves to death.
Yeah.
That I remember there was a beekeeper that I was talking to that had that problem in California, where they got into some spray, and those were the symptoms that they exhibited. So it could be somebody sprayed in the area.
Yeah, that kind of, if that, if you're pushing the cluster around and kind of get teasing into the middle of the cluster, and they're just dispersing and they're not trying to come back together, tells me there's probably not a queen there. So I'd be doing a mite check, but it kind of sounds like maybe you got a little bit of pesticide poisoning going on. You might want to talk with your state bee inspector, your county bee inspector, and have them maybe come and take a sample. Most places, if you've got a county bee inspector, they'll come and you suspect pesticide poisoning, they'll come sample the bees, and they can usually tell you.
Yeah, that's a lot of bees to have dead in front of your hives
Yeah.
there. But might want to look into that there, Tiny Creek.
Yeah, tiny. Something's going on there. Maybe a little bit more than pesticide.
He did put this right away. Sprayed his garden. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what they're spraying and how much. But
how much
okay,
and what and when.
Everybody got the hashtag for the hat here. Finals. You got a list there, Jed?
Yeah, I do. Let me
Can you share your screen?
Yep.
This is the one I'm showing in the picture, but this is actually the one I'm going to send you.
Bracken needs a new hat.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is really.
He's just gonna swap you.
I'm just gonna swap. So, I'll put my signature on this one, so it'll be work. I'm just kidding.
he just makes sure it works before he sends it to you.
Yeah, I'm just demoing. Okay, let's see. I gotta put that add to stage.
That's not it. Hold on. Remove that one. I gotta find the right. Hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah, where'd you get your hats done, Bracken?
Oh, so this I usually just go to Cover Up here in Brigham, but this time I ordered the hats from a company. I just ordered bulk, and then I take them in and have them embroidered just in a place here in town. He's been super good to me. I've done quite a bit of stuff from him, so sign it. Redfish says sign it. Redfish, if you win it, I'll sign it.
I gotta add happy grandma. I have not seen happy grandma on our live streams before. This is awesome.
Or maybe I'll sign it.
Do you have Laura on there?
Got everybody.
Let's see. Brian C just added his. Brian C. We got Tiny. Laura. Okay, I can do that. Lara.
She thinks she's being funny. That's my wife.
Oh.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm not in the backyard. I'm in the basement.
We'll keep Laura on there just in case. Just see what happens, just for the fun of it. Okay, I think I got everybody. You ready to rock and roll? You autographing that? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna write a message to whoever gets this. It's gonna be a secret.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm spinning. Here we go. Oh, I didn't make a guess. I'm gonna go happy grandma.
I'm gonna go redfish.
Roll Tide redfish. Wait, we gotta confirm that redfish is here. Well, he is.
He's here.
Yeah, he's here. Okay, congrats, redfish.
Really? He really did win it? Man,
yeah.
I'm good.
You are good.
Why didn't I have this much luck in Vegas that time? I guess
Redfish has won before. Redfish, I sent him something. I don't remember what it was. But I sent him something. Congrats, Redfish. Very cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, now I don't know how come it doesn't show on my screen? I don't know what I'm doing here. I am so untech savvy.
What are you trying to do?
That did the wheel go away?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jason said, sign the sweaty one.
Yeah, give him the sweaty one that you used today.
I might if it's Redfish since he's already won.
Good night, Tiny. Thanks for joining.
Yay. Well, thanks guys. Had a good time.
Thanks for joining, Brad. It was great to get to know you, spend some time with you. Thanks everybody for coming on.
It was great to be here. It was.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Brad.
And
do it again.
We'll be back at it. Next time we're at it, probably Glade, your channel, if you're up for it or whatever.
Yep, we can do it.
Next Thursday, right? Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain time.
That's right.
And now
That is-
we're at the end. If
We want to do it next week.
tell them what you were saying, Jed. We need you guys on the next chat to go over and recruit people from what's his name's chat.
Here's my thought. Go into Dave Burns' live stream right now and just drop a chat. Just drop a chat. Just say, "Hey, want to see a Reels live stream?" No, I don't know what you say, but
Not like that. But
not
say,
like
hey,
that.
Hey,
Check
have you
this
guys
out.
seen that other chat that's going on right now? They're talking about some pretty interesting stuff.
They got Brad the legend Jensen on there. Go check it out.
Hold on, I'm sending my email here. It's Barker's Bees 722.
Next week is
Redfish,
July
that's awesome.
24th. That's a holiday in
You
Utah.
want to do it on Pioneer Day? I'm game. I'm game. I'll do whatever. But you make the call, Glade. We can take it offline and decide what we want to do.
Yeah, we'll take it off. Thanks everybody for everything.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Ending.